Hello and welcome to the On Your Head Son podcast. We are online this week and we have a special guest.
Ooh.
His surname is Lampard, but he's not a Chelsea fan. Welcome, James Lampard.
Hello, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
And just in case people aren't sure, what team do you support?
Man Utd, in case it wasn't clear from the shirt.
Let's go.
Very good. And how excited are you to be on this prestigious podcast?
Really, really excited. It looks like a proper professional outfit from the ones I've looked at. And you've even had Johnny Dixon on it. So, hopefully I can trump him.
Yeah.
Well,
you got a big thing to look up to here because he was unbelievable. He was on the Newcastle special.
Decent, to be fair.
But
Yeah.
I do have to say that the Man U special, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So as we have done with other specials, we will be getting on to five-a-sides at some point. But before we do that, again, welcome, Matt. How are you? Have you enjoyed the weekend's football?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, watched quite a bit of it actually this weekend. To be fair, a lot of the games were a bit crap, but I have to say, particularly Saturday. Saturday games were really dull. I thought they'd be really good, but both of the ones 12:30 and 5:30 were really a bit boring, to be honest. But but the Sunday ones, I mean, there's one of them that very good, I have to say.
Well, you're definitely teasing, and I think let's get straight in with one of the Sundays. In fact, I think we've got we'll get started with Man United, seeing as it is the Man United special. Everton 0, Man United 3, and where else to start other than Alejandro Garnacho? What a goal!
How's he done that? Seriously, like he's backpedaling like that. The cross that comes in from Dalot is actually not that great a cross.
It's awful.
Yeah,
It's an awful
Garnacho
cross.
is like running away from the ball. He takes like 4 steps backwards and pulls that off. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is this goal of the season already?
Yeah, easy.
It's going to be hard to top it, isn't it?
Easy.
So going further than that, then is that the best overhead kick you've ever seen?
So
I think it could be. In terms of the technical ability needed to pull it off.
I can think of three others that come to mind. Obviously, the Rooney one is obviously the massive parallel for the Premier League one. You then got the Bale one in the Champions League final, and then also the Ronaldo one in the quarterfinal, whatever it was, against Juventus. And I'd go probably the Bale one was my favourite. Then I'd go Garnacho. Then I go Ronaldo. Then I go Rooney. From literally just a pure goals point of view. But this one, to be honest, I had no reason to get excited about watching Man U versus Everton. It's the first minute during the game, and I just suddenly, it's probably the only time I've actually made a noise, like watching a goal, and I've gone, oh! And it was like a very weird, I just wasn't expecting that at all from Garnacho.
The Gary Neville ooh.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was it was pretty cool. I have to say, it was amazing. And then like he kind of couldn't believe it after. He was just like walking around like she just waving his hand.
He did the Cristiano celebration, the suit as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, no,
didn't know what to do with himself.
That has got to be like the best moment of your life, right? Yeah. Like there and then, like scoring an overhead kick like that in the Premier League. It's almost unbeatable. I think going back to I think that's the best. I think that how cleanly he kicks the ball. Like the difference with Rooney is Rooney actually shins it. And it happens like it's also like so Rooney's the ball deflects so it slows down so he's got time to adjust himself. Yeah, it's a massive game. It's against City. Whereas this, he's nowhere near the ball, and he hits it so clearly, top corner. Unbelievable goal.
Yeah, I agree.
Stunner.
I agree.
I mean,
bar that goal, I have to say, and obviously Man U did score. They won 3-0. I don't know how. They still did not look very good at all. I mean, Everton should have scored, I think, about 3 or 4 that first half. I felt like Decore particularly missed an absolute, well, not a sitter, but he's been on fire, and you'd kind of back him to score there quite a lot, really. But and I thought Everton would be more up for it, to be honest. It was, I think that goal kind of quietened the crowd just quite a lot right at the start. It was a strange one.
I think so as well. But Man United are quietly grinding out results somehow. I'm not entirely sure how. One good spark for Man United as well as the win and the overhead kick was a certain Mainu, a bit like Man U, but not quite. Mainu. What a great player he looks.
Yeah, he looks like he could be something special, didn't he? I mean, to have that composure at, what is he, 18? Only just to play in the sort of defensive midfield role for Man United when we're, you know, the pressure around the club is intense at the moment. And he was I saw his stats something after the game, and he was tackling and he was intercepting and he was playing forward progressive passes, and yeah, it was just a really surprising performance actually at that level.
I completely agree. I thought he was the best player on the pitch. I think he should have got man of the match. If it weren't for Garnacho's superhuman goal, then he would have definitely got man of the match there. He controlled the tempo of that game really well. Particularly the second half, particularly then, I'd say.
He got a goal line clearance as well in the first half.
Yeah, of course.
Which would have been another Maguire own goal, which would have been very, very funny. But no, I think he looks really good. I do always think when a player comes in for the first time, though, you've got to like, it could just be a one-off game, mate. So what you've got to remember is that every Premier League team scouts are so good. They know exactly how to play against every player on the pitch. But Mainu is a completely new person. And the more games he plays, the more stats he has, the more other teams will know how to play against him. I worry that he could be a Reece Oxford. Reece Oxford.
Niche reference.
Yeah. I remember watching him for West Ham against Arsenal in the opening day of the season a few years ago, and he was 17. Yeah. Exceptional. One of the best players I've ever seen. Where is he now?
Yeah, I don't know. Where is he? Let's actually have a look.
He was at Augsburg a little while ago. My German team.
He's at Augsburg too now.
Oh God, so he's not even in there.
He's got one appearance this year, and that's it. Don't know where he's injured. But yeah, poor guy. Not done too well there, is he? Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree actually. That's not a bad comparison actually, I have to say. But I mean, I would say
it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Like, you know, there's a challenge almost for Ten Hag now, and in that obviously after a performance like that, and with Man United a bit up and down, he's going to want to put him in the team a lot. But he's 18 years old. Yeah, he hasn't played at the pressure cooker of, you know, Old Trafford, for example. And actually, with any young player, you sort of risk actually damaging them, don't you, by playing them too much?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's an interesting challenge there now, I think.
I agree.
I think we'll see. 100%. A few more, a few general questions about Man United. Seeing we don't think we've actually focused that much on Man United. Like, to be honest, on this podcast, as everyone knows, we normally just say they're really boring. Because
to watch and to be honest, it's
been so dull to watch, and we kind of just gloss over it. But I guess my question, and maybe I'll start with Lampard and do some mythbusters. Yeah. Everyone at the moment thinks that Man United are shit. Are they shit?
It's such a hard question to answer, right? Because we're what, the form team in the Premier League? I think we've won 5 in 6 or something. I mean, I know obviously you could say that those games have largely been against, like, you know, with all respect, Luton, Fulham, Crystal Palace, etc. But I think the worry for me is the performances. Like, we've sort of ground out results, which I think is obviously a good thing. You can't win every game by smashing teams. But what worries me so much this season is that we don't really seem to have a style of any type whatsoever. Like, you don't watch, you know, I've watched probably every game I think that's been on TV, and we're just like, what are we doing? What are we trying to do? Like, how are we trying to approach games? Like, we're not passing particularly well, we're not pressing particularly well, we're not dominating play. So it's an odd one in that we're sort of getting the odd results, but we look like we're like 5 mad minutes away from another terrible game, like constantly.
Yeah.
And that's a real worry. Like, I still don't think. I think these are false dawns, if I'm honest. I reckon we could still have, in 2 games' time, another absolute horror show and be back where we were. But yeah, I mean, you know, the form table is the form table, isn't it?
Completely agree. It's such a roller coaster watching them. You don't know what you're going to get going forward, and you don't know what you're going to get defensively at all. I think also the key to them not having really a style of play this year, they have had a lot of injuries at the back as well.
Yeah.
So you're trying to play out the back with Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, and then left back as Dalot maybe, and right back as Wan-Bissaka. That's a tough. They're not known as ball playing defenders there at all. But they're solid, I think, actually. And the way they played against these lower kind of teams it's actually suited them in a way. But I think once you kind of get Martinez back, particularly, and Shaw actually played and then came off actually this game, and he looked good. He looked good, I have to say. So yeah, I think once Martinez is back, I think he's quite key to the way Ten Hag actually does want to play that kind of forward ball, I have to say. But yeah, it's a difficult watch. It is a difficult watch.
We've been a horrible watch at points this season. Really have.
And again, so Lampard. It's a question. Did you think about like Ten Hag? Like is he the man to carry on?
I think for this season, yes. I think there is a view among a lot of United fans that we've tried sacking managers, right? Whenever results turn, we've tried sacking managers. We've tried a lot of different types of managers as well. You know, we've had Jose Mourinho, we've had Van Gaal, we've had Solskjaer. And actually, I think it's fairly obvious that even if Ten Hag has not been perfect this season, which he hasn't, I don't think it's all him. And I think sacking a manager doesn't really solve a lot of the problems at that club. I mean, there's points, like, to be honest, I don't love his subs. I don't think he makes use of the bench particularly well. I think some of his substitutions are odd. I think some of his selections are unusual. I mean, for example, the club going all out for Mason Mount, who has obviously been injured occasionally, but I mean, spent large chunks of the season on the bench. Yeah. And, you know, obviously relentlessly using Anthony, who just looks so off it. But I would keep him for this season, if I'm honest. If we haven't improved by the end of the season, I think there's definitely a conversation to be had.
Definitely. Okay. Direct question for you. Where does he rank in your post-Ferguson Man United managers?
Who's number one, actually?
Yeah, where does he rank, and then who's number one?
It's a bit of a weird roll call, that, isn't it?
It is.
I'd rate him quite highly. I think I'd rate Solskjaer as number one, not because of his skill necessarily as a manager, but because it felt like he brought Man United back, and he had we had that brilliant nostalgia ride for a year or so. Yeah. I think I'd rank Solskjaer number one, Ten Hag number two.
Rangnick's.
Rangnick's got to be bottom, right? Like,
Rangnick's bottom, closely followed by Jose Mourinho. I think the way he left the club by the end was just so toxic.
So Jose.
Yeah, and then I guess Van Gaal and Moyes somewhere in the middle. I don't think so.
No, I think that's the six.
I think that's it.
Can you imagine? So it must be almost exactly 10 years ago that Ferguson went now, right? Can you imagine it? Like, if I told you at that time that this would be your roster of managers afterwards?
Yeah. To be honest, they're actually not that bad managers for other clubs. And I mean, if you said from 2013 that Mourinho and Van Gaal would be your managers, and for that time period, obviously Rangnick, I don't think anyone would have ever got in my life. Like, literally,
he's doing quite well at Austria, though, isn't he? With the Austrian national team. I don't know if you've seen that, but
is he?
Rangnick is actually doing surprisingly well managing the Austrian national side, which again proves like he probably isn't a terrible manager.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think it was just a weird position. He was brought in as a temp. It just wasn't ever going to work, was it? Really, that one, I have to say. But yeah,
it was odd. It felt like they wanted to bring him in as like a director of football type character. And then they just made him like an out-and-out coach, which I don't think he is really. But yeah, weird bunch.
Bizarre. And then I've got one more question on Man United. It's for you, Matt, because it was for your pick for signing of the summer. No, it wasn't in the end. No, it wasn't. No, it was Andy's least. But you said you rated it really highly. Sorry,
I did. Yeah,
Andre Onana. Again, another myth-busting question. Is he shit?
I don't think he is at all. I honestly don't think he is. I think he had obviously a very rough start. I think he's very cocky for Like even in the Everton game where he just he's like, I know the whole thing is to have your foot on the ball, but he does give you anxiety, I think, sometimes when he is on the ball. Particularly, I remember the Arsenal game this season at the start, whenever it was September time, where he was just inviting pressure needlessly. He does do that a little bit, and I think he started off almost too much guns blazing, where I think he has actually relaxed quite a bit now, and kind of he does not. The whole story isn't about Onana now, whereas before it was always Onana's made this mistake, Onana's done that. Now it's more probably actually David Raya coming into Arsenal, which has probably helped that, because he obviously struggled straight away, and then maybe that took a bit away from goalkeeper's point of view for Onana. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think he should. I think he's actually quite a decent goalkeeper.
I mean, the stats suggest, based on save percentage, that he is the joint best shot stopper in the Premier League this year with Alisson.
It's funny that, isn't it?
It's amazing what stats say. Like 78.8% of shots he saved, and that doesn't suggest the quality of shots he's faced.
No.
I think it's funny. Like for me, like he just looks so small. He looks so small in the goal. It looks like if you kick it in the corner, it will be a goal.
He's got weird technique as well in the way that he saves shots. I read, so it's properly nerdy, but I read some article in The Athletic about like his shot stopping technique, and they're saying it is like unique, right? The way that he does it is not like taught, like coaches are, what are you doing? And obviously the problem with that, I guess, is when it works, it looks quite good. But when he's off form, he just looks weirdly small. Like you say, Barnett, he doesn't spread himself. No. He just sort of stands there, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. Like, you just let that one in.
No, I agree. Strange one.
Yeah, strange one indeed. Right. Well, we'll come back to Man United when we get onto our exciting five-a-side teams later. But let's shoot away from that side of Manchester to the other side, the light blue side, for the lunchtime kickoff, which was Man City 1, Liverpool 1. Me and Matt actually met up to watch this together. We were so excited. There'd been a long week at work. Couldn't wait for a good old game of football on a Saturday afternoon.
2 weeks, James. We had an international break in between. Remember that?
Yeah.
This was the first game back.
How long?
The marquee game for the last 5 years of the Premier League here. First game back, 12:30. We've had 4-0s. We've had 2-alls, 3-alls, whatever we've had. Brilliant games. 12:30 games are always shit. They're always low scoring. I don't know why, but
why do you think that is?
I was talking to Ali about this actually, who also we met up with, and it was basically just because I think you get a lot of night games are always the best because you have a lot of nervous energy throughout the day. It's probably building up, and also the crowd's probably a little bit more up for it. They obviously had a few beers or whatever before. And then you kind of walk in, the atmosphere's, it's dark, but you have a light show like at St Mary's, obviously, unbelievable. You're getting straight into it, and then there's usually a goal quite soon, I'd say, in those late games. Whereas these lunchtime games just drift. I just never really get into them. I think a lot of the time also you just watch it at home. I'd say those 12:30 games, or it was a 5:30 game, you tend to go out and watch, I'd say.
I guess the only way that I can compare it, right? So we've obviously played 11-a-side football, all of us at very high levels ourselves. But I always much preferred a 2 o'clock kickoff than a 10 a.m. kickoff. I really I felt like I played better football at 2 p.m. than I did at 10 a.m. And maybe that's because I'm more of an evening person than a morning person. I am. So it takes a while for me to get into the day, but maybe that has something to do with peak performance as well. I don't know.
Yeah, because your diet was so good, wasn't it? Every morning you'd wake up, your diet was absolutely perfect. On that morning, you would only be having, I don't know, your chicken pasta, whatever they have before a game, and going from there, isn't it?
I believe it was Mother Barnett's famous bacon sandwiches before a game. Actually,
pre-match food right there.
Love that. I love that.
Right. Anyway,
the game
itself. So obviously 1-1. I think one of the main things that I had from it was Man City versus Liverpool has become the definition of structure versus chaos. So Man City were a really, really structured approach, and they were the better team for the first half, I would say. But Liverpool's chaotic nature came into its own a little bit in the second half, albeit without creating many good chances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely agree. I think Luis Diaz coming on as well does help them a lot, actually, I'd say, when basically space just started to form a little bit more just because he was stretching defence a bit more than Jota did in that game. I would say that City looks in cruise control, though, for most of the game. It didn't look like they really wanted to go out and really fight for that second goal. It just looked like they were 1-0 up and they just thought they were going to win 1-0. And literally, the game plan was to get it to Doku. He takes around Trent Alexander-Arnold, which he did so many times. And Alexander-Arnold, because he scored, got player of the match. That's a joke, but by the by anyway. By the by, that happens. And then Gary Neville says he's the best right back in the world or something. It's pissing me off. I hate him. Speaking of Man U, I mean, what a weird man. But anyway, City just looked like they were in cruise control and just never really they could have scored about 3 or 4 really, without going into second gear, third gear, really, I'd say.
I think that structure v chaos point is interesting though, isn't it? So I don't know about you lads, but I don't actually enjoy watching Man City play much. I know they're like an incredibly dominant team. I get that they are probably the best team, I don't know, probably in recent history, but like they're so structured in the sense it's like all the fun has gone out of it. Like they've got Jack Grealish, who was like, you know, this sort of really exciting winger at Aston Villa, and everyone's like looking at him thinking, oh, he's got that Gaza-esque kind of flair about him. You watch him now and he's so boring. He gets the ball on the left wing, he doesn't take anyone on, he just turns back and passes it back to the left back. And you're just like,
agreed. I mean, watching City, I think since Haaland actually came to the Prem, obviously he's done unbelievable things. He's broken other records, whatever it was, to get quickest 50 goals. But since he came, watching City is dull, I'd say. Yeah. And even before that, to a certain extent, really. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
I completely agree. One thing that I'd said, I cannot believe you've used your public opportunity, Lampard, to admit that this Man City team is the best team of all time.
Well, I regretted saying that. I tried to backtrack. I said it. I was like, oh shit. Recent history. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're as good as our 2008 team, but certainly since that team, they're by far and away the best.
Title of the podcast: Man U special. Man City the best team. Man City the best team ever.
Is it? Yeah.
Quotes James Lampard, 27th of November 2023.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely agree.
I don't like admitting that it is true, sadly.
Yeah.
100% fantastic team, but structured, boring. Two teams that are not structured and boring in any way, shape, or form are Tottenham and Aston Villa. This I've just written, what a chaotic match, literally pure chaos, absolutely love it. So it was Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 2. So Lampard, in your mind, why are these guys so fun to watch?
I think they just absolutely go for it, both of them, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, like Postecoglou, the Spurs manager, has been, you know, a breath of fresh air this year, sort of talking about how he just wants his teams to just be front foot, like even when they're down to 9 men. And you know, there's just sort of a chaos about them that is so enjoyable to watch. And then you've also got, you know, Aston Villa, who play this absurdly high line, but equally they're just sort of ordered chaos, aren't they? And you watch these two teams go at it, and you think this could be 5-4, you know. I mean, what Son had? What wasn't it? A hat trick of offside goals, like something like that. You know, the game.
Yeah. Watkins had 2, I think.
Watkins had 2 as well. Like
weird.
Pau Torres.
Oh
no, he was just onside. Sorry, just onside for his goal. Yeah,
that was funny.
But it's crazy, isn't it? Because if you think about what we were taught growing up about like the way that you line up, like your defense sits like higher up than like the 18-yard line, but not like a million miles higher up than that. Whereas if you've got two teams playing with high lines, there's such a small area of the pitch to play on, and everything's just over the top. It's like it's crazy.
But that's why Unai's subs were absolutely amazing. He took off Diaby and Cash and brought on Tielemans and Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey is absolutely rapid and literally was just like, you know what? Did that half time and just suddenly it completely changed the complexion of the game because Tottenham really should have gone in about 4-0 up, really. You'd say Villa could have scored a couple, but maybe 4-2 up or something like that. But then Leon Bailey came on and just Tielemans was playing like little balls over the top to him. And it was just because of the space was there. It was and the Dogi's like playing pretty much as a left winger and sometimes as a striker. It's brilliant fun to watch. I mean, they are missing Maddison, I would say. So and obviously on a poor run, but because he actually does offer a little bit more structure.
I just think on that point that you made about Aston Villa, like, so the reason I know this is through trying hopelessly to win in Fantasy Premier League is that Emery makes half-time substitutions almost every game. I've really noticed this, and so he's clearly like aware of what's going on the pitch, and he clearly tries to influence what's going on like constantly. So I think that's a really good point, and it's something that like not a lot of managers do. You don't see a lot of managers like if managers are making like half-time substitutes, it's because the team are like 3-0 down and like all over the place. Whereas I think that Emery just sees little ways in which he can get like a win, and then quite proactively makes that move, which I think shows how good a manager he really is. But yeah, like Villa, so efficient. And again, I think I texted Matt this yesterday. I watched the end of this game. Like Watkins is so good. He's so good. Yes. But my God, he misses some sitters.
Yeah, it does. He does. Yeah. Funny.
You think how many goals he could have?
I know. I don't know what is he on? What is he on? Is he on 8 goals, 9 goals or something?
Possibly, but he could be on double that easily.
No, I agree. Yeah.
He missed he missed 2 headers, one from half a yard out and one from a yard out.
Yeah, he did. And he got an offside one, which was literally just a centimetre as well. Yeah. So but it's funny. But his finish was unbelievable for this as well. Yeah. You've got it
the that was very
it
was class.
Yeah, no, I love it.
I think a key point to make on that. So whilst Watkins played fantastically, I think he was made to look brilliant by the fact that Spurs didn't play any centre halves this game. They played 4 wing backs. Don't need them. So I guess the question is like, why would you not play Eric Dyer instead of playing Emerson Royale and Ben Davies at centre back?
They seem to have really ostracised Eric Dyer, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily a brilliant footballer, but he seems to be a good character. He's not a terrible footballer, and he is a centre back. And yet you've got Emerson Royale and Ben Davies at centre back with Dyer on the bench. It's an odd one.
I agree.
Very strange.
I don't really get it, but yeah, strange.
I think that's like, so Tottenham have now lost 3 games in the last 3. I don't think it's a panic station. I think, well, the panic station is the fact that they've got Maddison out, they've got Van der Ven out, and they've got Romero out for 1 more game suspended. I think once Romero comes back in, that settles them a bit.
I think Ben Davies as a centre back isn't actually dreadful. He's got a decent centre back next to him. Yeah,
agreed. But the sooner they get Maddison back, the sooner they can start pushing again. But I don't think he's back until January.
Yes, they confirmed he was in a boot in this game. Did you see it on the side?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, no, he doesn't look great. Doesn't look great.
Yeah,
but also, I mean, a very similar team to Aston Villa. Brighton snuck through it completely this game. Forest looked like, I actually think Forest deserved it. To be honest, like watching the highlights. To be honest, I think Lewis Dunk was an absolute idiot to get sent off in that game for dissent. Ferguson, what a finish, just unbelievable. But I mean, Brighton, it was their first win since September. I just don't get how they're still so close to the top, despite only like winning like once in the past, whatever it is, like 5 games. Like it's so weird.
They started off so well. They are they're another chaotic side. I think we spoke about it in different podcasts, but they're the team that I think is most struggling with playing European football.
Yeah.
I really do.
He's rotating the team almost every game, which is usually a sign that the players are struggling.
Yeah, they seem to be lacking at with a Stupinan out at left back. They don't seem to have the same balance to the whole team, particularly down the left flank. Matoma's been a bit absent.
Yeah,
in the last few weeks.
He's injured, I think, at the moment.
Is he?
Yeah, they played Ansu Fati, didn't they? And then he got injured, and then we brought on Pedro, who came on and changed it. So yeah, brilliant. But no, it's good. It's good to see him do well.
Yeah, no, definitely. But quick note on Forest. So you said they deserved a point, possibly even the win. But I've seen like a running theme of them playing well, but they're not getting over the line. I saw it earlier in the year against Burnley, against Brentford. They drew to Luton when they were 2-0 up with like 10 minutes to go. And rumour in the rumour mill is that Steve Cooper could soon be on his way out. With a rumour again, this is in the rumour mill. Someone that hasn't moved out of the Midlands since he left Wolverhampton is a certain Julian Lopetegui.
He hasn't moved.
He's just sitting there.
Why is he in the Midlands still? Isn't he from he's from Madrid or Sevilla, isn't it? I can't remember which one. What's he doing? What is he doing in Wolves?
I think that it works the same, right? So our dream is to like as English people is to like go and open a bar in like the beaches of Sevilla, right? Whereas I think for them it's to open up a little like chippy in Wolverhampton.
Just spends his days rocking around his local Aldi and local Wetherspoons.
I mean, come on, Wolverhampton, what a team. But actually, how are we doing right now? They were drawing 2-2 a second ago. Yes, they're drawing 2-2 now. Hwang Hee-chan, that Korean guy scored again. That Korean guy scored again. Pep Guardiola, not the opinions of the On Your Red Sun podcast.
Right, we've got distracted there. Let's get undistracted by talking very, very, very quickly, please, about the boringest game of them all, which is Brentford 0, Arsenal 1. Havertz, the saviour of Arsenal. Lampard, can Kai Havertz kick on?
I think he could. He still looks pretty out of sorts, doesn't he? I do think the team doesn't look like it's set up for the way that he wants to play. But at the same time, a goal could spark a bit of a confidence run for him. I don't see him starting games anytime soon, though.
Yeah.
No.
And then Matt. So everyone's been berating David Raya recently, but does this performance from Ramsdale prove Mikel Arteta right?
I don't think it proves him right, but I'm going to say yes. Yes, it does, because it just shook him. This whole confidence thing that's happened to Ramsdale is he just looked completely out of sorts. And I mean, that mistake just should have been punished. I think it was like the first 10 minutes or first 20 minutes. It was, and from there, to be honest, he recovered. So that's all you can say about him. But I mean, to be honest, 2 goal line clearances. Brentford probably deserve, but they always deserve a point against a big team, I'd say. When you usually watch them, I think they're usually quite good against these kind of teams. So yeah. But Arsenal top. No one really thought it was going to happen. But I mean, they're playing dull and they're top of the league.
I think that's just as under the radar as Man United being 6 points off top, and that's how close Man United are to the top. But Arsenal being top, when they're playing awfully, they're boring, they're one-dimensional. I don't really know how they're there.
They do seem a more pragmatic Arsenal, though, don't they? Like maybe last season, it's almost like, not saying it's necessarily deliberate, but it's almost like Arteta's looked at that and thought, well, if we're going to win the league, we need to be pragmatic.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. And fingers crossed it doesn't last the whole season.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Right, well, moving on from a boring game to an exciting one, which was Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. The main thing that I've written down is, like, St James's Park, like, what an atmosphere to play in that must be at the moment. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely rocking, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. It looks so good. It looks just so much fun. I mean, but the thing is, the team actually sets it up as well. It's not just the atmosphere. Like when you come in, the team, like literally, Joe Linton just literally getting involved with the fans every like 5 minutes to tackle. It's like, it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
I went last year for the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, EFL Cup. I can't remember what it's called now. For Southampton, and genuinely, it's up there with the top 5 stadium atmospheres I've ever been in. Like, it was so good. It was so fun. But yeah, speaking of the team, really exciting too. Lampard, like, so actually, what I'm going to say, what Matt's written on the sheet here, that they're overachieving. Lampard, do you think they're overachieving?
So it's a hard question, isn't it? I think they would have been overachieving if they stopped, but the fact that they've carried on and they've been like this for 18 months now, I think suggests to me that this is the level that they're at now. And
yep.
They should be able to kick on. I think what's so impressive about them is that when they got taken over, you thought, oh, they're just going to spend loads of money and just buy Mbappe and Neymar. But actually, they've been so thrifty, like, and sensible with the way they've spent money. But every player who's come in has been really smart, right? And yeah, they're somehow dealing with an injury crisis, like United have, but they still seem to be cracking on. So yeah, I don't think they are overpowered. I think this is their level now, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that the Premier League it's looking like it's becoming a bit more like a top 7, 8, maybe.
Yeah.
At the moment, with
I think that's more exciting though. It's way more exciting to watch. Like, I think actually, to be honest, I think it'll be harder for, say, a Crystal Palace to actually break that top 8 than it is for a Newcastle or Brighton or Villa to actually break the top 4, which is way more exciting than just having the same Champions League teams every year. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of a team in this game that didn't look like they were going to, well, they don't look like they're going to finish in the top 4, is Chelsea. They were absolutely dross.
No, I know. Poor, like, to be honest, they're a weird team because obviously they've looked really good against these big teams. So your Cities, Liverpool's, Arsenal as well, and we've drawn them. But if they just won one and lost the rest, then it would be exactly the same kind of points total. And but the feeling was that this was actually going to be them kicking on from it. But it was their worst performance of the league of the season. It was so dull to watch them. I mean, Sterling scored an absolute cracker of a free kick, but they just looked out of sorts. There was space in behind still. You got Jackson on Lascelles. Lascelles is not a quick player at all, but it looked very methodical for Newcastle again. So
I for one can't work out where Chelsea are on their inverted commas project. Reba, I don't know what they're good at, what they're like. Yeah, I like, and what's the target for them this year? The target has to be Champions League, right, with no European commitments.
Yeah,
but are they going to get that based on what they're at the moment? I don't think they're good enough.
Where they are at the moment. I think what's interesting as well is you can draw a lot of parallels, right, between them and us at the moment. Both big sides in crisis, but yet it doesn't seem to me that Pochettino, for example, seems to face the same level of scrutiny that like Eric Ten Hag does, right? So I've not really seen anything. This is just me personally. There probably has been chat about Pochettino's job being at risk. And yet you look at that team and you think, I know there's more, it's bigger than him. He wasn't responsible for the players brought in, etc. But they had 2 good performances before this game. And you think, oh, actually, do you know what? Chelsea are coming back now. And then they put in a performance like that. You just think they're going backwards.
I agree. That's true. And they've actually got 2. They've had a really hard run. So they had Tottenham, Chelsea, then obviously Newcastle. Then we've got Brighton next week. Then Man U. Then Everton away. That's 3 very tough fixtures. That's 1 week. That's all in 1 week. Those games as well, because there's a midweek game next week. But that's ridiculously hard. They could come out of that 3 more losses and be fighting relegation. Well, no, because there's free sheet
as well, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm getting all cocky now. We've actually won a game.
Yeah.
1, 5, and 6, you should say.
True.
Yeah.
Very good. Right, so you mentioned relegation. So let's bring up the 3 promoted teams, all playing 3 games. So firstly was Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. Let's focus particularly on the promoted sides here. Let's not get into Bournemouth too much. Like, how much was Bournemouth looking slightly good, just Sheffield United being awful?
I'm happy to say, yeah, it was.
You go, Matt. You go.
The gulfing class between Bournemouth and Sheffield United is ridiculous, and it shouldn't be. I don't understand. Bournemouth are probably you'd say maybe the 16th, 17th best team in the Premier League, and the gulf looks completely off the chart, really, for how you think a Premier League should be competitive and should be like that. It was Sheffield United are a poor team. I think they actually are the worst team in the Premier League.
They just, just, you look at their squad as well, and you just think there is almost no one in that squad that makes you think, oh, he could do something. They just on paper, they look really poor, and in reality, they look really poor as well. And, a lot of people saying Heckingbottom favourite for, the first sack. And I mean, I suppose if you're their owners, you're looking at it and thinking, well, can anyone get a tune out of this squad? I don't know. I'm not sure they can.
They don't have a lot of money, so I don't think they can afford to sack him, really. And well, if they do, then they have to find someone really cheap. And could you get anyone better at that price? I don't know. I genuinely think they look a mid to lower table championship side. Like I don't think they'd be challenging for promotion this year. I mean, Matt and I, obviously Southampton fans, I think Southampton would rip Sheffield United apart at the moment.
You've got a better squad than they do.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, I say that, but we drew one to Huddersfield at the weekend. So let's
keep it there on it.
Let's move on from that, and let's move on to the next promoted side from last year, which was Burnley. So Burnley lost 2-1 at home to West Ham. Burnley cannot be losing a game like that when they play better for 85 minutes. Winning 1-0, and then West Ham scored 2, one in the 86th, 87th minute, and one in stoppage time.
Yeah. How did they throw that away? From the position they were in, with a knackered-looking, leggy-looking West Ham.
Yeah.
How did they let them score 2 from the 80th minute on? Thrown it away.
Completely agree. I genuinely think this is their worst loss of the season. I honestly do. I know they've had bad losses and big losses, but this game where you've dominated the whole game up until the 85th whatever it was, minute, and you lose 2-1 is just soul destroying. And I think, honestly, how people aren't talking about Vincent Kompany's head, I don't get it, because it's not going to get any better. I
agree. But again, how much is its head? Because you look at that team as well, and I hate the phrase "not enough quality" or lacking in quality, but I think that Burnley size lacks in quality. Yeah, Kolyashi's a good player, and so is Sander Berge. He's a good player as well. I think Lyle Foster's probably second or third choice Premier League striker. He's all right, but they're lacking in quality. They're still way worse than Bournemouth.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think that's the bar you've got to look at and be like, are we anywhere near as good as Bournemouth? And they're not.
Yeah. No,
I think Burnley, for me, I watched that documentary series, Mission to Burnley. And I think for me, they're like that classic team who have absolutely destroyed the Championship and have played their way of playing, and then have kind of come up to the Premier League and tried to play the same way, and actually get into the Premier League, and you're almost naive. You're looking at them and thinking, you can't just expect to turn up and dominate teams in exactly the same way that you did last season.
Yeah,
it's something like they have.
It's classic Norwich, classic Daniel Farke.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, Norwich are a good comparison.
One thing I have put on that is so big crunch game next week is Sheffield United versus Burnley. But then again, does it even matter? Because they're probably both going to go down anyway.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
The one team that looks like they do want to fight, they want to give it a real go, is Luton, who beat Palace 2-1 at home. And Matt, I really like your point here actually. Why do you think they won?
Cup game mentality. Honestly, it's brilliant, but it's literally watching it's like an FA Cup team where it's almost like a League One Championship team against a Premier League team. To be honest, the quality at level was massively different, but the atmosphere got them through, and that's brilliant, and that's what you want from these kind of teams that come up. You want to go to those kind of grounds and make it just really difficult for bigger teams to play, and that's what it felt like, and I feel like they've got a chance to stay up because of Everton's thing, and they're the one actually you wouldn't put money on them staying up. I still think they'll go down, but they could stay up just because of their atmosphere at home. I think away from home they're going to lose every game. Really.
Yeah,
but it was their first home win actually. So yeah, it's good to see. Good to see. Big injuries though for Palace.
Yeah,
that's a really, really bad loss for Palace. That.
Yeah, I agree. But they're fine. It doesn't matter, does it? So it's like, yeah.
Again, Palace are the team that lose every single week and they finish 13th or 14th every year. Like, how does?
I don't know how they do it.
To be honest, it's like we've been saying, like Southampton, like it's nice going down now and not losing every week, because like it's not just last season, but the last 3 or 4 seasons we've been around somewhere between 12th and 17th. Mm-hmm. And like you genuinely do realise how often you lose football games. Yeah. It's nice not losing all the time now. Even if we finish mid-table in the Championship, which I hope we finish higher, like at least we're winning half our games. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's almost like being a Man U fan.
Which is
a bit like that these days.
Which is the perfect segue onto our Man United special 5-a-side edition.
Hey. Let's go. Those are the games.
Let's go.
This is a proper game, though. This one.
This is a real game. Actually, just very quickly before that, we're in the 90 plus 10th minute, so we're going to report it, even though it's not true. Fulham have beaten Wolves 3-2 with a Willian penalty in the 94th minute.
Oh wow!
Let's go. 3 penalties in that game.
It is 90 plus 10, and they're still playing, but I'm reporting that Fulham have won.
Cool.
But yeah, right. So let's do our Man United 5-a-side teams. So we're going to do it draft style. So we'll take it in turns, and you can pick anyone, any position you want. Once you pick someone, the next person can't have them in their team. Lampard, as our guest and our honorary Man United fan, I would like you to pick your best ever player from the Man United team.
Wait. I've just got a couple of things. Are we doing just Premier League, or are we doing it before Premier League?
No, let's do Premier League.
Premier League. Okay, so since 92, 93, whenever it is. Okay, cool.
When football started.
I agree. Gary Lineker was not
when God made Adam and Steve.
George Best
and they made the Premier League.
It didn't exist before anyway. So, no place to pick.
Exactly, yeah. TV. Yeah. Cool.
Right, Lampard, fire away. Who you picking?
I'm going to go. The first United player in my 5-a-side team is going to be Paul Scholes. An incredible passer of the ball, like well documented that Xavi, Pep Guardiola, Iniesta, when asked the player that they thought, they didn't want to play against was Paul Scholes. Underrated, I think. But for me, Paul Scholes goes straight in that team.
Yeah, very nice.
I think that's completely fair. James, go on. I went second last time, so I'm gonna let you.
I actually don't know, because I some of my ones that I've got are more obscure. I think I'm going to go for who I think is the best all rounder, but just utterly superb, which is Wayne Rooney. All-time top scorer. Plus, also he's just a beast, and he showed his adaptability in positioning as well.
He'd be 5-a-side against. Can you imagine on a small pitch like that, Wayne Rooney rampaging around?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you don't tell him where to play. You don't tell him where to play. Literally, just go out and run and just beat people up. So, yeah. Speaking of beating people up, I'm gonna go Roy Keane. I'm gonna go Roy Keane straight away. I think we've all gone kind of midfielders. James, you got a little bit more attacking there, but yeah, I quite like that. I quite like that for a 5-a-side there. Okay, fine. So then, does it go to me? Are we doing it like that? So then, does it go back?
Reverse?
Yeah.
We go reverse. All right, find them, Matt.
Cool. So then next, I'm gonna go a defender. I'm gonna go Rio Ferdinand. He was the one, actually, to be honest. Growing up, he was always, when I always said Ferdinand or Terry, I was always Rio Ferdinand. So I'm just a big Ferdinand fan, and also he's funny. He's funny on his podcast and stuff like that. So I still quite like him. So yeah,
I like that. Rate that very, very highly. I was deciding between two, and I'm gonna steal another defender, and I'm gonna go for Nemanja Vidic.
Nice.
I can see Lampard getting upset that we've taken Ferdinand and Vidic away from him. Vidic solid again. Right, my team right now looks like brutal. Vidic and Rooney. But,
You've gone bullish. You've gone absolutely. But,
yeah. Right. Okay. Lampard.
I'll go. I mean, luckily there is a third centre back that I can follow up with. Yap Stam.
Yeah, that's the obvious one now.
Often, actually, the third people talk in recent years about Ferdinand and Vidic, incredible as they were, but actually, I think you could argue Yap Stam potentially better than both of them.
I agree.
We probably sold him too early, to be honest.
He went to Milan. He went to AC, didn't he? In that immense back four that was like
Ferguson said years later that was like one of his only regrets.
Yeah,
selling Yap Stam. So I'll put a bit of solidity in my team. Put Yap Stam in there.
Well, I was actually going to take him next, just so I had like Yap Stam and Rio Ferdinand together, just to like
nice.
Go
Love that. Right, Lampard, back up the line. Who are you going for?
I feel like I need a striker. I'm going to go. I noticed there's a really big name that no one's gone for yet, but I'm still not going to go for him. So I'm going to go for Ruud van Nistelrooy.
No, he was mine.
Absolutely.
I thought about going for him last time.
Incredible goal scorer. In the few seasons that we had him, it wasn't our most successful period, but he scored so many goals. Incredible goal scorer.
Yeah, no,
I absolutely love that. But that literally, that's thrown me because I was so gonna say right next, which I'm really irritated about. There's an obvious one, but I really don't want to pick him because I really don't like him.
There's two.
Too boring.
It's too boring. No, I'm going to go with someone. Oh no, am I? Because it won't make a balance to my team. Well, I'm going to go for one of the initial class of '93. I'm going to go for Giggsy.
Nice,
Giggsy,
great player.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's nice. To be fair, yeah, longevity as well. Like he's never leaving. Like literally, he's going to be there for 40 years.
He's still playing.
I'm going to go for another excellent player. I'm avoiding the obvious one. I think everyone is really. I'm going Eric. Big Eric. You can't get rid of him there.
I should have gone for him actually. Yeah, that's
that's who I thought you were stealing, to be honest. And then it goes straight back to me there.
Yeah.
So this is actually, I could either go for a goalkeeper and take my favourite one, or I could take. I'm gonna go for a goalkeeper. I'm gonna go for my favourite one because I probably can't really remember the best one, to be honest. And it's Edwin van der Sar because he's just so big in a five-a-side goal. And I think he genuinely, for me, just was my favourite goalkeeper during that kind of period. It was when you had shit goalkeepers just before.
Yeah.
And then he came in and it was just like completely solidified it. And it was just suddenly he was such a good goalkeeper. So yeah, I'm going to go for that.
Very good. Right. Yeah, I'm going to go for him. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for Cristiano Ronaldo because he is. I know. I absolutely hate myself for saying it, but I'm struggling, so I'm going to go for him. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Good shout. I mean, it's that name that you look at and you're like, oh, I've got to pick him. But people forget that he did win a Ballon d'Or while I know. Career was outside of the Premier League, which I think it's always an interesting debate, isn't it? Where people put Cristiano Ronaldo in their all-time Premier League top 11. And you're like, is that looking at it because of who he became?
Yeah.
Rather than who he was. But
for sure. I mean, you've got to remember that in the short time that he was there, he obviously came back and got across the line, but he's part of the PL 100 club.
Oh yeah, he was unbelievable.
He literally was there for like 3 or 4 seasons. Then I know he had like 1 and a bit at the end, but yeah, crazy.
It was so exciting.
Right, Lampard, who are you going for?
I'll go for another midfielder. I'll go David Beckham. No one's picked David Beckham yet.
No one's picked David Beckham.
Yeah.
No, I'll go Bex. Bex, but in the midfield, he can play. If Scholes sits a bit deep, Beckham can sort of.
I like your team's looking good. I have to say. Yeah.
It's built quite well. And then I assume, Lampard, you're going for a goalkeeper, which is going to leave me with the other one.
I need to go for a goalkeeper. So I'm torn between the two fairly obvious names. I think it's got to be Schmeichel. It was, Schmeichel is just that name, isn't it, that you look at. He was not only, if you're thinking about a five-a-side team, like he was so commanding of the penalty. He was a great goalkeeper, but he was an absolute madman as well, and would shout scare the death out of his defence. But yeah, Schmeichel has got to go in there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right, well, I guess that leaves one for me. So I'm going for Tom Heaton. No, wait, sorry. Sorry, I mispronounced David De Gea. David De Gea is my man. And actually, I think he would be the one I would have gone for, particularly if we're talking five-a-side. I think I'd like
great shot,
nice agility and shot stopping. Saves a lot.
He's not very good with his feet though. Yeah. He's not very good with his feet. That's why he got.
No, but he's good at saving with his feet though.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, to be fair.
Whereas someone like Schmeichel or Van der Sar might struggle to get down. Yeah,
I agree.
But right, well, Matt, you've got the exciting chance. You can go through
last
anyone.
Last pick. Bebe.
The one that got away.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm going Michael Carrick. I think for about 4 years, he's one of those players that everyone says just should have got about 100 England caps, but only got about 10 or 15 or something like that. And it's just because of the era he was in, to be honest. But such a good player. So yeah, Michael Carrick. I like my team.
Very good.
Actually, to be honest, but each team,
really good teams. To be honest,
I have to say.
They are brilliant. Should we read them out one by one? Like Lampard, have you got yours in front of you? Do you want to read it out?
Yeah, so I've got Schmeichel in there, Stam in front of him, Scholes and Beckham in a sort of two-man midfield, and then Ruud van Nistelrooy up front, banging in the goals.
Very good. Go on, James. You can go.
Nice. Well, I've got David De Gea in the goal with Vidic right in front of him. Then I have two wingers of Giggs and Ronaldo, and then Rooney playing a bit more of a fluid cam/striker role, scoring the 208 Premier League goals that he's got.
That's a really good side, that.
Yeah, I like that team, to be fair. I like that. You're not really keeping the ball, though. That's what I'm saying. I have to say.
Do you keep the ball in five-a-side?
You do with my team. Here. You have Edwin van der Sar in goal. He's really good with his feet. You got Rio Ferdinand, Michael Carrick, and Roy Keane in the middle. And then you've got Eric Cantona at the top there, just bossing it. So yeah. I like that.
That's brilliant. 3 brilliant teams there. We'll definitely be sharing those with everyone. I can't wait to hear what other people think as well. And maybe we'll give it a shout. We want to hear people's worst Man United five-a-side as well, because there are, I think Man United, possibly even more than other clubs, have some of the gift of having maybe the best players in Premier League history, as well as the very, very worst.
Yeah.
Like famously horrendous. Like Gabriel Obertan.
Obertan's the one that immediately comes out. Jemba.
We bought both of them within quite a short period of time.
Yeah. Ferguson did have some misses. Ferguson did.
Alex Butner was another one. Just an absolutely bizarre signing.
Luke Chadwick.
Yeah. Really, really odd signings, as well as some really brilliant ones.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, actually, no, I've got one more before we move on. Dong Fang Zhao.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about it. Wow. Did he ever play?
Yeah.
He boosts sponsorship in China.
Yeah.
That's what was important.
I think at the time that was pretty much the accepted reason. People were like, well, that's probably why they bought him, isn't it?
Yeah. Great. Well, really enjoyed that.
Love that.
Really, really good. Love a good five-a-side game. And speaking of games, what time is it now, Matt?
It's a predictions game.
Yes, time for the predictions game. I can see and I can feel how excited Lampard is to be part of the predictions game for the first time.
The news has been calling for it. They're going, will they ever change the name? No. Keep it. It says what it does on the tin.
Right. So on to our predictions. We'll go with ours first, and then we're going to leave Lampard to give a really ballsy, brave prediction at the end. But Matt, who have you gone for this week?
So my one was, I'm running out of teams here. Actually, I'm running a bit low. So I realised I hadn't chose Brentford, and Brentford I think have got Sheffield. Is it?
Luton. They've got at home.
No, we don't. Who have we got? Luton. Yeah, 3-0.
Yeah.
3-0 Brentford. Easy.
Love that. Home against Luton.
Yeah.
I'm taking the big relegation derby, and I'm going for Burnley 2-0 over Sheffield United, because they're both awful, but I think that Sheffield United are that much more awful than Burnley. Lampard, any big predictions based on the fixtures for next weekend?
I reckon I'll take Man City Spurs. I think it could be a high scoring game. I think it could be 3-2 Man City.
Hopefully, yeah, it'll be a good game actually. To be fair,
that should be a very, very good one.
Good Super Sunday, I hope.
Yeah,
good Super Sunday game to watch.
Absolutely. And then just one closing remark. Just as we've got a Man United fan, we've got the Champions League this week, and it's a must win game. For Man United against Galatasaray away, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, away at Gala. It's going to be really, really fucking hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
Really
It's tough.
Do you have any hopes that you will, firstly, win that game, secondly, go through into the qualifying round? Not qualifying round, sorry, the knockouts.
I'm not hopeful, if I'm honest. I don't think we've ever won away at Galatasaray. I think someone was talking about that the other day. It's the atmosphere, right? When you go to the Turkish games, and the fans are absolutely up for it. And the problem, one of many problems I think with this United squad right now is they look like they really, really like come undone under pressure, right? And the reality is, away at Galatasaray, the pressure is going to be immense. And one mistake, they're just going to be all over us. I think, sadly, Wilfried Zaha is probably going to get a goal or two.
Yeah.
I think we might get a draw, but I don't think it's going to be enough, unfortunately.
No, because then you got Bayern the week after, or 2 weeks after Bayern away.
It's an absolute must win, but in Europe this year, we seem all at sea.
Yeah. But Højlund looks good in Europe.
Højlund, yes. Højlund's absolutely banging in goals. But yeah, it's going to be a really big ask, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. Well, thanks very much, Lampard, for joining us.
Nice. Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
It's great to hear that you have no faith in Man United whatsoever, and you think that this Man City side is the greatest team in history. That was my favourite quote of the entire podcast.
I'm not going to be allowed back in any United circles anymore, am I?
No, exactly, no. But you're welcome in these circles anytime. We love to bitch about Man United too.
Great fun.
Brilliant. Well, and thanks again, Matt. And then I guess one more thing to say, and that is that it's to remember that it's on your head, son.
Not off your head.
Son.
Yes! Nailed it.
Absolutely nailed that.